Stop and hear this clearly. This message is not reaching you by accident. And this moment is not ordinary. God is speaking into your life right now because the season of silent endurance is ending, and the reward for your faithfulness is no longer hidden. Heaven has seen every private sacrifice, every tear you never explained, every night you stayed strong when no one thanked you for it, and every time you chose obedience while your heart was breaking. Let me tell you plainly, you have been recognized. You have been marked. You have been carried through battles that should have buried you. And now God is opening a door that will not look like what people expected. He is preparing to bring into your life a younger partner. Not for vanity, not for appearance, and not for shallow excitement, but for divine balance, for healing, for restoration, and for the awakening of a part of you that has been waiting too long to breathe again. Hear me clearly. You are not being sent a distraction. You are being sent a living sign that your appointed time has arrived. God is saying that after all the hidden effort, after all the restraint, after all the seasons when you gave more than you received, He has decided that this next chapter will carry fresh oil, fresh joy, and fresh strength. This person will not come to mock your journey, but to honor it. They will not enter your life to compete with your scars, but to meet your spirit with the kind of light that makes old heaviness lose its grip. I say again, this is not about age alone. This is about what heaven has chosen to restore through a heart that still carries tenderness, hope, and the courage to love without the same weight that wounded others. You are standing at a threshold, and what is coming will make sense of many things that once felt painfully delayed. So, if you believe God has been preparing something greater than what you lost, type, "It is my appointed time," in the comments. Like this video, subscribe to this channel, and share this message with someone who has been waiting in silence. Because part 2 will show you why certain people had to leave before this promise could arrive. Let me warn you, the people who faded, the voices that grew cold, and the connections that suddenly broke apart were not random losses. You were not abandoned. You were being separated. God was clearing your atmosphere before releasing what belongs to your next season. Because some people were tied to your struggle but had no grace to walk with you into your promise. Hear me clearly. Not everyone who felt familiar was assigned to your future. Some were only permitted for a chapter. And when that chapter closed, their presence could not remain without delaying what heaven had already written over your life. You may have wondered why certain conversations became empty, why loyalty turned weak, or why the people you once carried with love no longer felt safe to hold close. God is saying that what left your life did not leave because you had no value. It left because your value was no longer meant to be hidden in places that could not honor it. There were relationships built around your survival, around your availability, around your willingness to keep giving while receiving almost nothing in return. And God had to break those patterns before sending someone who would meet you in truth. I say again, this was not rejection. This was divine removal. Some people had access to your time, but no revelation of your worth. Some enjoyed your strength, but could not discern your heart. Some were comfortable with the version of you that carried burdens, yet they were never going to celebrate the version of you that was about to be restored. That is why the shaking had to happen. That is why the silence came. That is why the circle changed. God was closing old doors so that your spirit would stop feeding on what could not sustain your destiny. And if this part is speaking directly to your life, tell me in the comments. Have you felt people falling away without explanation? If you have, type, "God was clearing the way." Because what He removed so forcefully reveals how significant the next arrival truly is. And what is coming will explain why heaven refused to let the wrong people stay. Hear me clearly. Because this is where many people misunderstand what God is doing and end up resisting the very answer they prayed for. The one He is preparing for you is younger, and that detail is not small, accidental, or decorative. It is part of the strategy. It is part of the healing. It is part of the rescue of something inside you that has been suffocating under years of pressure, disappointment, and forced strength. Let me tell you plainly, God is not sending you someone younger to flatter your ego or to excite your flesh for a fleeting moment. He is sending someone younger because there are chambers in your heart that have grown silent, and only a certain kind of freshness can reach them without fear. You have carried too much for too long. You learned how to endure, how to stay composed, how to survive betrayal without collapsing in public, how to keep moving with dignity while something inside you was quietly bleeding. But survival is not the same as being alive. And God is saying that He will not allow your life to become a monument to endurance while your joy is buried underneath it. This younger soul is not merely younger in years. They are younger in hope, younger in expectancy, younger in emotional openness, younger in their ability to believe without the same corrosion that wounded others before them. Their heart still carries a kind of holy softness that this cynical world has not fully stolen. And that matters more than you realize. Because if God sent you someone carrying the same heaviness, the same suspicion, the same rigid scars, your next season could start looking too much like the one He is trying to bring you out of. I say again, this is serious. Heaven is not playing with your future. God is not choosing what looks impressive on the outside. He is choosing what can breathe life back into the places where grief made its home. This person will carry a tenderness that does not compete with your depth, but responds to it. They will not come to reduce your wisdom. They will come ready to receive it. And in that exchange, something dangerous to darkness begins to happen. Your guarded spirit starts to open without losing discernment, and your tired heart begins to feel again without falling back into old deception. That is why this matters. That is why this detail matters. Because what God is sending is not just companionship. It is a divine interruption to the cycle of emotional starvation. And once you understand that, you begin to see why heaven has been so precise. Let me tell you, with all the weight this moment carries, what God is sending into your life is not shallow excitement. And it is not a temporary emotional high meant to distract you from your pain. This is healing. And healing is serious because it reaches into places you learned to hide even from yourself. You have been strong for so long that many people mistook your endurance for wholeness. They saw you standing and assumed you were untouched. They heard your calm voice and imagined there was no war inside you. But God saw the exhaustion beneath your discipline. He saw the nights when your body was still, but your spirit was carrying grief too deep for language. He saw the parts of you that kept functioning while slowly going numb. Hear me clearly, this is exactly why heaven is moving with such precision. God is not merely answering your desire for companionship. He is confronting the damage left by seasons where you had to be the stable one, the wise one, the dependable one, the one who held everything together while receiving almost nothing that truly nourished your own heart. I say again, this is not a small thing. A person can survive that pattern for years and still lose the ability to feel safe in tenderness. A person can keep giving, keep serving, keep showing up, and quietly become unfamiliar with rest, unfamiliar with joy, unfamiliar with being gently loved without having to earn it. God is saying that He will not leave you in that condition. He will not let your story end as a testimony of survival only. He is doing a new thing, just as it is written in Isaiah 4:3-1-9. And this new thing is not loud in the way the world is loud. It is holy. It is deliberate. It is entering the hidden rooms of your heart and breathing life where sorrow sat too long. The one He is sending will not heal you by speaking over your wounds with empty charm. Their presence will heal by bringing lightness where heaviness ruled, warmth where fear settled, and sincerity where disappointment trained you to expect less. They will not come to fix you as if you were broken beyond recognition. They will come as part of God's restoration. And through that connection, the buried parts of you will begin to rise. The laughter you thought was lost will return. The softness you buried under responsibility will return. The capacity to receive love without suspicion will begin to return. And if this is touching something deep in you, tell me in the comments. Have you been the strong one for so long that you almost forgot what it feels like to be gently loved? Type, Lord, restore what was buried. Because once God begins healing what you hid, He also begins opening doors you thought would never move again. Hear me clearly, what God is building between you and this person is not confusion, and it is not imbalance. It is design. It is holy order. It is the kind of union that looks unusual to the natural eye, because heaven did not shape it according to human expectation, but according to what your spirit actually needs in this hour. You have spent so much of your life being the anchor that many people only came to you for stability, for wisdom, for answers, for strength, yet very few ever brought back the breath, the color, the sacred excitement that your own soul was starving for. God is saying that this next connection will not drain you the way the former ones did. It will not be another assignment disguised as love. It will not be another burden wrapped in emotional language. This one is different because it is built on balance. They will bring fire where your life became too careful. They will bring wonder where disappointment taught you to lower your expectations. They will bring movement where grief made everything feel heavy and slow. And you will bring what they have been praying for even without fully knowing how to name it. You will bring covering. You will bring depth. You will bring the kind of grounded wisdom that cannot be learned from shallow living. You will bring a safe place for their spirit to land without fear. Let me tell you something serious. When God joins two people by divine intention, He does not ask whether they look symmetrical to the world. He asks whether they complete what the other has been missing. That is why this matters so much. Their youth will not cancel your maturity. It will draw life from it. Your maturity will not silence their joy. It will protect it. Their energy will not dishonor your depth. It will awaken it. And your depth will not crush their brightness. It will give it direction. This is the meeting of the anchor and the sail, the flame and the oil, the shelter and the wind. I say again, this is not random attraction. This is spiritual architecture. God is building something where your steadiness becomes a refuge, and their freshness becomes a healing current flowing back into places in you that had gone too still. That is why the enemy resisted this season so fiercely, because a union like this does not only comfort the heart, it breaks old patterns, it destroys emotional starvation. It proves that what God ordains carries both peace and life at the same time. And once heaven begins joining what truly belongs together, darkness can no longer keep your future locked in the shape of your past. The warfare around this season was never small, because what God is bringing to you was never small. The pressure, the loneliness, the emotional fatigue, the strange heaviness that tried to sit on your chest in quiet moments, the temptation to settle, the temptation to stop believing, the temptation to tell yourself that deep love was no longer part of your future. None of that was random. Hell does not fight empty seasons with that kind of intensity. Darkness does not spend that much energy attacking what carries no threat. Hear me clearly. The reason the battle became so vicious is because your threshold was near. The enemy understood something before you did. If you survived this stretch without surrendering your heart to bitterness, you would step into a visible breakthrough that would not only bless you, but expose everything that tried to bury you. That is why discouragement came in waves. That is why delay started whispering like a prophecy. That is why disappointment tried to train your spirit to expect less from God. The assignment against you was not only to hurt you, but to reduce your expectation until you would no longer recognize the promise when it appeared. I say again, this is serious. The enemy wanted you numb. He wanted you practical in the wrong way. He wanted you to call your exhaustion wisdom and your fear discernment. He wanted you to make peace with emotional famine and name it maturity. But God is saying that what was sent against you failed to destroy what He marked for restoration. You are still here. Your spirit is bruised, but it is not dead. Your faith may have trembled, but it did not collapse. And that matters, because the very fact that you were fought this hard is evidence that something weighty is attached to your next step. This is warfare at the edge of transition. This is resistance at the gate of appointed timing. This is the rage of darkness when it realizes it cannot stop what heaven has already approved. So do not misread the battle. Do not call yourself forgotten just because the road became fierce. The battle was proof. The intensity was proof. The resistance was proof. God kept you standing longer than you wanted because what is ahead required a version of you that could carry both blessing and discernment without falling back into old chains. And when you finally see what He protected by delaying, by pruning, by shielding, you will understand that even this war was forced to serve your future. The delay was not rejection, and it was not proof that God overlooked your tears. It was mercy. It was protection. It was divine restraint in a season when your heart wanted movement. But heaven required maturity. You have measured the passing of time by your loneliness, by the doors that did not open, by the prayers that seemed to hang in silence, and by the ache of watching life move around you while your own promise appeared to remain hidden. But God was never measuring your life by the calendar alone. He was measuring readiness. He was measuring alignment. He was watching the condition of your spirit and the condition of the one being prepared for you. Because a promise released before its appointed hour can become mishandled, misunderstood, or even destroyed by immaturity. Let me tell you something serious. If this connection had arrived too early, you might have received it through the lens of your wounds, instead of through the clarity of healing. You might have mistaken peace for weakness, sincerity for naivety, or tenderness for something temporary. And the one coming toward you also needed time. They needed to be shaped, stripped of illusions, delivered from superficial desires, and taught by God how to recognize the treasure hidden in your depth. I say again, the waiting was not empty. It was preparation on both sides. While you were learning not to beg for what dishonored you, they were learning not to chase what looked impressive but carried no soul. While you were being brought into a place of greater self-command, they were being brought into a place of greater spiritual hunger. Heaven was working with precision, not haste. This is why Ecclesiastes 3:11 matters so deeply here. He makes everything beautiful in its time, not in panic, not in pressure, not in human comparison. In its time, and if the vision seemed delayed, even then God already spoke through Habakkuk 2:3, that though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come and will not delay beyond what His wisdom has allowed. So what felt like slowness was often shelter. What felt like silence was often construction. What felt like absence was often God refusing to let the wrong version of this promise reach you. And if this is piercing your spirit right now, answer me in the comments. What if the season that tested your patience was the very season that protected your promise? Type, His timing is perfect. Because once you understand that the delay was mercy, you become ready to recognize the holy precision of how this meeting will unfold. Let me tell you this with caution and with clarity when this person appears. The recognition will not begin in the flesh first. It will begin in the spirit. That is why you must not look for them with desperation. And you must not judge the moment by the shallow signs the world has trained you to trust. Hear me clearly. What God is preparing for you will not arrive wrapped in confusion, torment, and emotional chaos. It will not force you to betray your peace in order to keep it. It will not seduce you into blindness and call that passion. No. What is from God carries weight, but it also carries peace. It may stir you deeply, but it will not scatter your soul. There will be something in their presence that feels strangely familiar, not because you have known their face before, but because your spirit will recognize the atmosphere around them. The moment may look ordinary from the outside. It may happen without spectacle, without noise, without the dramatic signs people keep chasing. But inwardly, something will settle. Something will witness. You will feel the difference between excitement that burns fast and peace that holds steady. I say again, that difference matters. Because many people miss what is holy by expecting what is theatrical. This recognition will not feel like striving. It will feel like exhaling after carrying tension for too long. It will feel like your inner world stepping out of defense and into quiet alertness. Their presence will not push you into performance. It will not make you feel the need to impress, chase, prove, or shrink. It will bring a sacred ease. And yet that ease will not be empty. It will be alive. You will sense sincerity in the way they see you, a purity in the way they listen, and a kind of warmth that does not invade your boundaries, but honors them. Let me warn you, though, because this recognition will be spiritual before it is logical. Your mind may try to argue with what your spirit already knows. Fear may try to question it. Old wounds may try to slow your trust. But if you stay yielded, if you stay discerning, God will make the witness clear. He is not leading you into confusion. He is leading you into alignment. And the most astonishing part is still ahead. Because the real shock is not only how you will recognize them, but why heaven chose this kind of heart to stand before you at all. Hear me clearly. Because this is the revelation many never see until it is too late. The shocking reason God chose a younger heart for you is not simply because it is fresh, but because it still carries enough holy fire to awaken the part of you that pain tried to bury alive. Let me tell you plainly, life has demanded so much maturity from you that somewhere along the way, you learned how to become responsible without remaining fully alive. You became dependable. You became careful. You became disciplined. You became the one others leaned on when everything around them was shaking. But hidden underneath all of that strength was another part of you. A part that still wanted to dream without fear, love without calculation, laugh without watching the room first, and move through life without carrying the constant weight of disappointment on your back. God is saying that this hidden part of you has not died, but it has been locked away under years of survival. And the one He is sending carries a key. I say again, this is serious. This is why the detail matters. This is why heaven did not choose carelessly. A younger heart still has room for wonder. It still knows how to run toward beauty without needing to dissect it first. It still carries a kind of emotional courage that this tired world tries to suffocate early. And God, in His wisdom, chose that kind of heart because He knew that if He sent you someone just as guarded, just as exhausted, just as overtrained by sorrow, then your future might begin to resemble the very prison He is trying to deliver you from. Let me warn you, this is bigger than romance. This is resurrection at the level of the soul. This person is not coming merely to admire your scars. They are coming to call life back into the places where those scars taught you to become smaller, quieter, and harder than you were ever meant to be. Their presence will disturb the grave clothes. Their joy will confront your numbness. Their openness will expose how long you have lived in self-protection and called it wisdom. Yet this will not humiliate you. It will liberate you. Because the true shock is this: God chose a younger soul because only a heart still wild enough, soft enough, and brave enough could reach the hidden wilderness still living inside you. The wilderness in you that still wants to create, still wants to trust, still wants to feel, still wants to believe that your best days were not swallowed by loss. This is why their arrival will feel like light entering a locked room without asking permission. This is why it will feel like rain breaking over dry ground that looked beyond recovery. This is why it will shake you so deeply. Because you will realize that what you thought was gone was only sleeping. And once God awakens what survival tried to silence, nothing in your future can remain small, lifeless, or chained to the shape of your past. This connection is not being sent into your life merely to make you feel loved for a moment. It is being sent to change the direction of your life. What God is preparing is bigger than romance, bigger than attraction, bigger than the relief of finally not being alone. This is about legacy. This is about what begins to break when heaven joins two lives that were refined through different fires for the same holy purpose. Hear me clearly. Some relationships only comfort the flesh, but this one will touch generations. God is not just ending your loneliness. He is confronting old patterns that have followed your bloodline, your thinking, your choices, and your expectations for far too long. He is breaking the cycle of emotional famine. He is breaking the cycle of one-sided love. He is breaking the cycle of being chosen only for what you can carry, what you can fix, what you can provide, while your own soul remains unseen. I say again, this is serious. Because when God sends the right person, they do not merely admire your strength from a distance. They honor it. They do not ask you to shrink so they can feel secure. They do not treat your depth like a burden. They recognize it as treasure, and that changes everything. This younger partner will not enter your life to consume what is left of you. They will come with a spirit ready to build, ready to receive, ready to walk beside you with devotion rather than confusion. That is why this union carries weight beyond your personal happiness. It becomes a testimony. It becomes evidence that God can bring beauty after devastation, order after disorder, tenderness after long warfare, and joy after years of private endurance. Your story will no longer speak only of what you survived. It will begin to speak of what was restored. Let me warn you, do not reduce this promise to a simple love story, because heaven is writing something far more costly and far more beautiful than that. This is about the ending of one pattern and the birth of another. This is about God proving that what he ordains does not repeat the pain of the past, but establishes peace where chaos once ruled. And when you finally see the fruit of this union, you will understand that what arrived in your life was not merely affection. It was a living answer, a divine rebuilding, and the beginning of a legacy that pain could not stop. What you do now matters, because when God brings a promise this close, the enemy always tries one last time to pull your heart back into old patterns. This is not the hour to chase, enforce, overanalyze, or reopen doors that heaven itself has already shut. Do not go back to what drained you just because it is familiar. Do not call old bondage closure. Do not mistake delay for permission to settle. God is saying that your assignment in this hour is not to strive, but to surrender, not to panic, but to discern, not to manufacture what he already ordained, but to prepare your spirit to recognize it when it stands before you. Let me tell you something serious. Many people pray for a promise, but when it draws near, fear makes them sabotage what they once begged heaven to send. Old wounds start speaking. Old disappointments start interpreting. Old shame starts whispering that nothing truly clean could ever reach them. I say again, do not let the voice of your former season narrate the threshold of your new one. This is the time to release comparison, release timetables, release the need to understand every detail before you obey peace. Stay consecrated. Stay honest before God. Stay sensitive to what strengthens your spirit and separated from what pulls you back into confusion. You do not need to perform for this promise. You do not need to become someone else to qualify for what heaven has already written. You need clarity. You need surrender. You need the courage to let the old identity die fully so the restored one can stand up without apology. God is preparing your heart not only to receive love, but to receive it without suspicion, without self-protection ruling every response, and without shrinking the very depth he created in you. So guard your peace, guard your discernment, guard the quiet work God is doing in secret, because the one who comes from him will not need your striving to reach you. What is born of God will carry its own witness, and what is aligned by heaven will arrive with a clarity that fear cannot counterfeit. Hear me clearly, because this is the moment where heaven seals what it has been whispering over your life. From the very beginning, your silent season was not wasted. Your hidden obedience was not ignored, and your tears were never falling onto empty ground. God has not brought you this far to leave your story unfinished in sorrow. He has brought you to the threshold of visible breakthrough. Let me tell you plainly, the reward is no longer distant. The promise is no longer only spiritual language you repeat to survive another lonely night. It is drawing near. It is taking shape. It is moving toward you under the hand of divine timing. And what God is sending is not a random comfort to calm your emotions for a moment. It is a kept promise. It is a living answer. It is the proof that what was delayed was never denied. I say again, this younger partner is not entering your life by accident, and they are not coming to entertain your heart while leaving your soul untouched. They are being sent as part of a holy turning, a visible sign that the season has changed and the chains attached to your past no longer have authority over your future. The waiting ends here. But more than that, the old version of your life ends here. The one marked only by endurance. The one shaped by absence. The one trained by disappointment to expect less than what God actually wrote over your name. God is saying that you are crossing over now. Not backward into fantasy. Not sideways into confusion. But forward into alignment. Forward into restoration. Forward into the kind of love that carries peace, vitality, reverence, and purpose all at once. This is your threshold. This is your appointed time. This is the hour where what was hidden begins to become visible, where what was prayed in private begins to answer you in real life, and where what darkness tried to postpone can no longer be held back. So, if you receive this word, type, "I receive my appointed promise," in the comments, like this video, subscribe to this channel, and share it with someone who has been standing in a long season of waiting. Because heaven is making something clear tonight. The chains are breaking. The door is opening. And what God has prepared for you is no longer far away. Walk forward with your head lifted. The promise is at the door. And you are not walking into this next chapter alone.